During my lunch break, while I was sitting alone with a sandwich I barely tasted, my phone lit up with a motion alert from my office webcam. I almost ignored it. At Northbridge Data Systems, stray sunlight or the cleaning crew could trigger it easily. But when I saw the notification pulsing, something in me tightened. I tapped the feed open. My manager, Olivia Serrano, burst into my office so fast the camera jerked. She was followed by 2 compliance officers, Curtis from Internal Controls, and a younger analyst I did not recognize. Olivia's voice cut through the tiny speaker before I could catch my breath. "Check every inch," she ordered. "She is definitely hiding it here." I felt the back of my neck go cold. Curtis moved straight to my desk drawers, pulling them open one by one. Papers hit the floor. My monitor tilted as the younger analyst leaned over it, snapping photos. Olivia stood in the center of the room like she owned the place, her arms crossed, her chin lifted. I knew that stance confidence fueled by certainty, not truth. "She keeps everything," Olivia said sharply. "If it exists, it will be in here." I gripped my phone tighter. They had no idea the webcam was still on. No idea they were being watched in real time by the person they were trying to bury. "Open the bottom one," Olivia pressed, her voice low, urgent. "That's where she puts sensitive files. The bottom drawer. My locked drawer." Curtis hesitated. "This is secured. Break it if you have to," Olivia snapped. "We are under direct authorization." My heart hammered as he forced it open. The second the drawer slid out and Olivia leaned in to look, her entire face drained of color. Her lips parted. She stepped back like something inside it had burned her. The image froze on that expression, fear, recognition, and disbelief tangled together. I stared at my phone, barely breathing. "What did you think you would find in there?" Olivia. Across the frozen screen, her pale face seemed to answer with a silence far louder than words. What exactly had she believed I was hiding, and why was she so sure it could destroy me 6 months before the raid? Olivia Serrano walked into Northbridge Data Systems like someone stepping onto a stage she believed belonged to her. I remember the introduction meeting clearly, her bright smile, the sharp blazer, the confidence that filled the room before she said a single word. "I came from a fast-growth startup in Chicago," she announced. "We moved quickly, no hesitation, no dead weight." When she said dead weight, her eyes flicked in my direction for a fraction of a second. I had been with Northbridge for 7 years, long enough to understand the difference between a statement and a warning. Later that afternoon, she called me into her office. "You're Kira Hollis," she said, looking me up and down. "Senior risk analyst." "That's right," I answered. "I've reviewed your files. You're thorough." She said it like the word was a flaw. "But we need faster risk clearance. The board wants aggressive movement this quarter." I asked what she meant by faster. She slid a folder across her desk. "These numbers look rough. Clean them up before the quarterly report. Tighten the margins. Make the thresholds less conservative. We need the appearance of stability. That would violate policy." I said. She laughed softly. "Policy bends when necessary." "No," I replied. "It doesn't." The smile slipped from her face. "You're going to make this difficult, aren't you? I'm going to make it accurate." From that day, the shift began. Subtle at first, a little too quiet when I entered a room. A few meetings I was no longer invited to. Comments left hanging in hallways. "She's talented," Olivia would say to directors while I was in earshot. "Just rigid, old school, not very adaptable." Or, "She slows us down. She needs everything perfect." Some coworkers repeated it without realizing whose voice they were echoing. Others avoided taking sides. I stayed silent, keeping my records, tracking the unusual edits, saving the emails that didn't match the reports. I kept thinking the storm would pass on its own. But Olivia had already decided that my integrity wasn't a trait she admired. It was a threat she intended to remove. The small cuts started quietly, too quietly for anyone but me to feel them. The first happened during a risk review cycle. I was waiting for an update and noticed a meeting had already ended without me. When I checked the calendar invite, my name was missing. I asked Olivia afterward. "Oh," she said lightly, gathering her things. "Must have been an oversight. We covered your segment. No need to worry." The second cut was an email chain about a client escalation. My team was included, but I was not. When I asked a coworker for the thread, she frowned. "I thought you were leading this part," she said. "I was," I replied. Her confusion told me everything. Then came the meetings. I would present findings, and Olivia would step forward at the end with a bright smile. "Great job, team," she'd say, looking right past me. I guided them through the tough parts this week. One director even congratulated her afterward. She accepted it without hesitation. But the cut that drew blood came 3 weeks later. I was reviewing a monthly risk document I had signed off on. The version in the system looked wrong. Thresholds looser, definitions altered, dates mismatched. Someone had changed the report after my approval. I walked to Olivia's office with the printout. "This is not the version I submitted." She barely glanced at it. "Relax. We all massage numbers to survive. You stress too easily." "That is not acceptable," I said. "You changed my signed report." She leaned back, smirking. "Maybe you just forgot what you submitted." I left her office, my hands shaking. Later that afternoon, as I walked past the glass conference room, I heard her speaking to Director Lanning. "I am not sure Kira should have sensitive access anymore," she said quietly. "I just do not trust her judgment." His low hum of agreement hit me harder than anything she had done before. Every cut was adding up, and the bleeding had finally begun. The day I realized the truth was the only shield I had left. I opened a blank folder on my desktop and typed a name that meant nothing to anyone but me. Archive 1. No flair, no labels. Just a quiet place to start protecting myself. The first thing I saved was a screenshot of the altered monthly report, the one Olivia insisted I had misremembered. I pulled up the version I originally submitted and captured both side by side. Then I saved the timestamp logs that showed the edits were made hours after my sign-off. Next came the email chains. I organized them by date and inconsistency, her messages telling me to keep strict thresholds, followed by messages to the team saying I approved looser ones. When I compared them, it felt like holding two different realities in my hands. Then I opened the admin access logs. One line froze me in place. User O. Serrano override authorization. 23:41 hours. I had been home asleep at that time. She had used her credentials to force changes under the risk team's umbrella, and she counted on no one noticing. My fingers shook as I saved each file. Not from panic anymore, but from clarity. I copied everything to an encrypted drive, one protected by a long passphrase only I could remember. Then, I printed a curated set of pages just enough to show patterns if anything ever went wrong. I placed the printouts into a plain binder and wrote training notes, 2024 across the cover in neat black ink. A harmless title, a quiet disguise. I slipped the binder into my bottom drawer and locked it. For a moment, I stared at the metal handle, imagining Olivia's hand on it, pulling it open, convinced she would find something damning inside. She had no idea the only thing hidden there was the truth she had created herself. Her voice still echoed in my memory. "I am not sure Kira can be trusted with sensitive access." She was hunting for evidence to destroy me, unaware the binder held every step she had taken to build her case against herself. When I walked back into the office after the raid, the air shifted. Curtis and the younger compliance officer straightened as if they had been caught somewhere they should not be. Their voices stopped mid-sentence. Olivia turned last. She forced a smile that never reached her eyes. "Kira," she said lightly, "we did not expect you back so soon." "I noticed," I replied, setting my bag down. Curtis cleared his throat. We located something in your bottom drawer, an unusually detailed record of process anomalies. Olivia folded her arms, pretending to be unimpressed. She keeps everything. I warned you about that. I stepped closer. May I see what you found? Curtis handed me the binder. The crisp label stared up at me. Training notes, 2024. Nothing about it looked dangerous. Nothing about it suggested anything except preparation. Olivia laughed under her breath. Very dramatic. Kira, were you planning a presentation? No, I said. I was protecting myself. Her smile faltered. I opened the binder and turned it toward the compliance officers. These are printouts of reports that were changed after approval. Email inconsistencies. Admin logs showing unauthorized overrides. They match the digital files on my encrypted drive. The younger officer frowned at Olivia. You told us she was hiding client data. Olivia's voice sharpened. I said she was hiding something. Look at it, she is documenting the entire team. That is suspicious by itself. Curtis exhaled slowly. There is something else. Olivia. The webcam captured audio and video during the search. Olivia's head snapped toward him. We have the recording, he said, including your directives. She went perfectly still, as if the ground had shifted beneath her. The certainty she carried like a weapon drained from her face, replaced by something colder fear she could not disguise. For the first time, she understood the trap she had stepped into, and it was one she built with her own hands. The morning after the raid, Internal Audit called me into conference room 3. The blinds were half closed, the table scattered with printed logs and highlighted documents. Curtis gestured for me to sit. We are opening a formal misconduct investigation, he said. For now, we need clarity on several inconsistencies. Olivia was not there. That alone told me everything. What inconsistencies, I asked. The younger analyst slid a sheet toward me. Your manager gave statements last night. Some of them conflict with system records. I read the page. Olivia claimed I had triggered a restricted access anomaly the night before the raid, an alert that supposedly justified her urgent search. I was not logged in. I said, I was at home. We know. Curtis answered. He turned his laptop so I could see the screen. These are the server logs from 2000 hours to 0100 hours. There is no activity from your account. He clicked once, but there is activity from hers. The line was clear. User O, Serrano admin override 2350 hours. I felt something cold settle behind my ribs. Curtis continued. She told us she never uses after-hours access. That is not true, I said quietly. He nodded. Other employees said the same. Her statements are shifting. Throughout the day, word spread faster than I expected. I overheard clipped whispers outside the break room. I thought Kira was the problem. Olivia said she found evidence. Then why are they questioning her now? By noon, Olivia stormed into the hallway near my desk. Her voice shook with forced confidence. If people ask, tell them your folder was just a misunderstanding, she said. You do not want this getting ugly. It already is. I replied, You are manipulative. Kira, she hissed. You twist everything. You always have. No, I said. I document it. She stepped back, eyes flashing with something close to panic, not power. Later that afternoon, Curtis stopped by again. We found more altered approvals. He said, Every one of them traces back to her credentials. The truth was no longer creeping, it was accelerating, and Olivia was running out of places to hide. By midweek, compliance had moved from questioning to reconstructing. Every incident, every override, every altered line item was laid out across a long table in conference room 5. When I walked in, Curtis tapped a stack of documents. We pulled everything, he said. Altered reports, forced approvals, manipulated thresholds, even deleted email drafts recovered from the server. Olivia stood at the far end of the room, arms crossed tight enough to leave marks. Her expression flickered between defiance and dread. Curtis continued. The pattern is consistent. Every irregularity originates from your manager's credentials. Olivia snapped. You are twisting this. Kira has always been dramatic. This is not her version. The younger analyst cut in. This is the system. The room went still. One by one, coworkers stepped forward. First was Jenna from my team. Her voice trembled, but she spoke anyway. Olivia told me to just sign off on a violation last month. She admitted. When I hesitated, she said Kira already approved it. But I never saw Kira's name anywhere. Then Tom from finance added. She blamed me for a reconciliation error she caused. Told the director I mishandled the numbers. Color drained slowly from Olivia's face. Curtis placed another page in front of me. We found this in the shared drive archive. It was an unsigned report draft. My name had been typed into the approval field, but the formatting was wrong slightly off-center, not the template I used, and the timestamp did not match any day I was in the office. I did not write this. I said, "We know." Curtis replied, "It appears to have been planted." The weight of it hit me harder than anything else that week. Olivia had not just tried to corner me, she had tried to create evidence that never existed. By the end of the day, compliance scheduled a final review meeting. The lie she built was collapsing, and the company was finally seeing the shape of it. The department gathered in the largest conference room on the 14th floor, a space usually reserved for quarterly briefings. Today, no one touched the coffee or the pastries lined against the wall. Every chair faced the front screen where compliance had set up their presentation. Curtis opened the meeting. "We will walk through the timeline of events," he said. "All findings come directly from system records." Olivia sat 3 seats down from me. Her jaw was tight, her foot tapping against the carpet in a rapid, uneven rhythm. The first slide showed the altered reports versions I had signed, followed by versions changed in the hours after my approval. The second slide listed forced approvals tied to overrides conducted under Olivia's admin credentials. The third slide displayed email drafts marked as deleted but recovered through the server archive, each showing contradictory instructions she had issued. Curtis clicked again. The final slide appeared unauthorized edits user O. Serrano. Timestamps ran in a precise column. 2300 hours, 2350 hours, 0030 hours. Olivia lifted her chin. "This is a glitch," she said, her voice brittle. "The system has been unstable for months." The younger analyst stepped forward. These were manual changes. We verified the keystrokes. Murmurs rolled through the room. The director stood, smoothing the front of his jacket. "Ms. Serrano," he said, "these actions constitute deliberate manipulation of risk data and attempted entrapment of an employee." Olivia shot to her feet. "You cannot be serious. She is the one who—" "You are dismissed from your managerial role effective immediately," he said quietly. "Security will escort you to collect your belongings." Silence swallowed her protest. Then he turned to me. "Ms. Hollis, your record is clear. Your integrity throughout this process is formally recognized." I nodded, keeping my breath steady as Olivia was led from the room. The truth had finally landed, and everything shifted with its weight. The day after the department meeting, the director called me into his office. His tone was calm, almost reflective, as he gestured for me to sit. "Ms. Hollis," he began, folding his hands on the desk. "Your conduct these past weeks has shown a level of discipline and honesty we rely on in this company. We want to formalize that." He slid a folder toward me. "We are creating a new position, Director of Process Integrity and Ethical Oversight. We would like you to lead it." I stared at the title. Power had never been my ambition. "I appreciate the offer," I said carefully, "but I want to understand something. What protections will exist for employees who report inconsistencies? I do not want anyone else finding themselves where I stood. He nodded. We expected that request. You will have authority to implement transparency logs that cannot be altered without multi-level authorization. Every edit, every change, every override will be traceable. It will not be possible to weaponize the system again. I breathed out slowly. Then I will accept. Good, he said. You earned this. When I stepped out of his office, a quiet murmur drifted across the floor. People were gathered near Olivia's empty workspace. Her office door was open, drawers pulled out, shelves bare. HR stood beside security as she collected the last of her things. Her badge had already been deactivated. When she tried to swipe out of habit, the red light blinked back at her. She froze for a moment, no anger, no outburst, just a stunned stillness as reality settled. She walked out between the two security officers, shoulders drawn inward, the energy she carried for months gone in a single step. There was no dramatic confrontation, no final words, only the sound of consequences moving quietly through the hallway, leaving space for what came next. 2 weeks passed before the building felt normal again. People stopped whispering in corners, the tension that once clung to every conversation finally thinning out. Even then, I could still feel the echo of what Olivia had tried to do, how the catastrophe she built for me had folded in on her instead. I was reviewing a new policy draft at my desk when an email from legal appeared in my inbox. The subject line was short, Findings regarding audit trigger manipulation. I opened it slowly. The statement was direct. Legal confirmed that Olivia's actions, specifically the falsified access anomaly used to justify the raid, met criteria for criminal review. The company would be cooperating with outside auditors. They did not mention her name beyond the necessary details, but the weight of the words was unmistakable. It was not revenge. It was accountability. Later that afternoon, the Process Integrity and Ethical Oversight Program officially launched company-wide. My team sent out the first announcement: new transparency logs, uneditable audit trails, and multi-level authorization for every sensitive revision. People stopped by my desk one at a time, not to congratulate me, but to thank me for making the environment safer. Jenna from my team leaned on the doorway. I feel like I can breathe again, she said softly. We all do. Even Tom, who rarely spoke unless required, sent a message that simply read, Finally. Someone fixed what we kept pretending was normal. The raid quickly became the story everyone referenced when they wanted to explain why transparency mattered. If you try to bury the truth, the director said in a meeting, it tends to dig its way back. Late one evening, I walked past my old office, the place where everything began. The doorway was empty now. The desk cleared for the next analyst. I stood there for a moment, imagining the frozen frame of Olivia's face on my phone screen. She raided my desk looking for something to destroy me, I whispered. But what she found was the one thing she never expected: a record of her own downfall. If you were in my place, what would you have done the moment you saw your manager tearing through your life on camera?